Well, Memphis, listen. What a wonderful joy and experience to be a part of the Visible Portraits of Light. I am Pastor William Smith III. I'm your senior servant leader at Berean Missionary Baptist Church. I am challenging you. I'm encouraging you. Y'all don't want to miss April 27th at 3 p.m. at the Renaissance Convention Center. Listen, come and see what Lady Sharonda and Brother Larry Walker have put on. They are doing wonderful things. You don't want to miss the experience. Come, myself, along with 11 of my other cohorts and pastor and preacher friends. We're going to be featured. We're going to be honored because of your vote, because of your nomination. Listen, Bereanites, my family, my friends, Memphis folk, surrounding area, where you're from, Mississippi, or Arkansas. Come on, y'all, come on and have a great time with us. 3 p.m. April 27th. Get your ticket now. Go ahead and get your ticket. You can get it on Eventbrite, Visible Portrait of Life. You can go to Larry Walker's page, or if you don't want to spend a little service charge, contact Visible Portraits of Light, Sharonda Walker.
Definitely.
And you can get your ticket directly from him. Save you a few dollars so you can put it in an offering tray maybe on a Sunday, or something, right? Y'all come on, be a part. Don't meet us there. Beat us there.
Beat us there. Welcome to the 4th episode of the Visible Portrait of Light podcast. I am so excited. My name is Sharonda Walker. I'm your host today, and I am interviewing one of the 2025 Visible Portrait of Light honorees, Pastor William Smith III. He is the pastor of Berean Missionary Baptist Church here in Memphis, Tennessee. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Blessings to you.
I am so excited. Pastor Smith was nominated by you all, the Memphis community. Not only was he nominated, but he was voted one of 12 honorees who will be part of this our third annual Visible Portrait of Light art exhibit, which is going to be in April the 27th. And we hope that you join us. But today, we're going to talk and find out more about this amazing servant of God. Would you please share with our viewers something unique about you that they may not even know? You know, the fact that you're the pastor. Yeah. How long have you been a pastor?
Well, let me first thank you and thank your husband and your team for just having this vision. And I'm super excited, honored, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So thank you and blessings upon you and your work and your ministry. And thank you for allowing me to share just my 2 cents about what God has done in and throughout our lives. I've been the pastor at Berean. This is going into my 4th year.
Okay.
I've been at Berean for 6 years, going into 7 years. I transitioned and was blessed to serve there on a transitional contract, hired in to assist the founding pastor, Dr. Parker, who was the founding pastor of the church, and he prayed and met with the church about his retirement. And so part of that, he wanted to have a succession.
Which is wonderful.
Which is wonderful, yes. And a manifestation for myself as well.
Okay.
It was a manifestation because going into the ministry, I had not received my doctorate degree yet. Going into that particular ministry, I was just embarking upon and starting my matriculation in my D-Min program.
Okay.
When I went there as assistant pastor. And it was a 3-year process. And so, fortunately, that was God blessing to have my in context experience because my project and my work was done on pastoral succession.
Wow. So it was in
And
line,
it was
right
in
in
line,
line.
right
Okay.
with
Okay.
there with it. And so I'm blessed to be, I guess, the first other pastor, but the succeeding pastor to the founding pastor of the church. And it's been a wonderful experience thus far.
Well, I've had an opportunity to interview Dr. Parker.
Right.
We did a story on him in Be Visible magazine some years ago. Our office used to be right down the street from the church.
Wow.
He then was very gifted.
Yes.
And definitely into serving others. So
Yeah. Dr. Parker, we're out. I've been preaching since I was 9. And growing up in ministry here in Memphis, I had the opportunity to see and learn of those great giants in ministry. And Dr. Parker was always at the top. And we always admired and looked up to him. One of the interesting things, you said a unique thing, I guess, I'm a Memphis homeboy, born and raised and reared here in Memphis. But I've had opportunities to be around the world because I've been afforded those opportunities. But I graduated from Hillcrest High School.
I know where that is.
In 1999, which is less than a mile away from the church where I currently serve as pastor.
You literally could walk.
I could look out down the street and there's a school. And so how life comes back full circle to be there and to one witness the things that God allowed Dr. Parker and the members of Berean to plant and to put in place. And now I always say I'm the beneficiary of what was placed in them and birthed out of that ministry. Dr. Parker, who was always a great and benevolent, kind advisor and mentor and one to be admired and looked up. And I'm grateful that God has blessed him to live and continue to live and to now be able to see fruits of his labor.
Yes. Yeah, he attended the last Visible Portrait of Light unveiling.
His best friend, Dr. Melvin Charles Smith.
Dr. Melvin Charles Smith. I then found out how close they were, and that's when I learned that he went to Tennessee State. So he's dear in so many ways. My alma mater.
Okay.
But what are some kinds of, challenges that you as a minister and as a father, as a husband, may have encountered that you can share with the audience, how you were able to maneuver those things,
One of my greatest challenges was one, putting the balance of ministry in the right places, in the right perspective in your life. And so, kind of fortunate and unfortunately, I learned that through my, tenure as a minister, as a pastor, and that is one I finally learned when someone set me down. It was a female pastor, a woman, Dr. Chestina Mitchell Archibald, who it was a rhetoric that I guess she learned or heard, and that was that the order of ministry is God, your family, then the church. 1, 2, and 3, and never get 1 and 3 confused with each other. And so a lot of times we do church work and we feel like that's serving God and put our family, spouses, and children on the back burner, in which is supposed to be the reverse. Because it all starts at the home. And that's our first ministry. It reminds me of the 2 women in the Bible, Mary and Martha, who Jesus had the opportunity to be invited into their home. He and his homeboys to have a meal.
I like how you said homeboy. Go ahead.
To have a meal, and they were been on the journey, and so they were going to fix this meal. And Jesus came in. One of the sisters came out of the kitchen, greeted Jesus, his guys, and the Bible illustrates that she sat down at the feet of Jesus while he talked and preach and teach to them while the other sister was in the kitchen cooking.
Right.
And I guess it became overwhelming because the meal wasn't ready. And said the sister walked out and said, Jesus, care is not that I'm in here doing all this work and doing all this labor.
Come on in here and help.
My tell her to get up and come in here and help me. And Jesus said, oh, you're too anxious. You're carried out. You're excited. You're angry about the wrong stuff. This sister that's sitting at my feet has chosen, the Bible says, the reasonable, the good portion. Now, what you're doing is not bad.
Right.
But putting the priorities in place. What was more important? Was it the meal, physical meal, or was it the spiritual meal that's going to sustain? So I always think about that. That has been a challenge for me early on in my developmental stages that I can think right off the top of my head on putting those in. I love my family, and sometimes the instability of pastoring, and you're always on the grind trying to serve people and doing, and sometimes, and I still kind of have those challenges sometimes and have to be reminded. Sometimes you got to bag back and put those priorities in place.
That's very good, because my husband's best friend is also, he's an artist as well as a pastor. And that was one of the reasons why he was compelled to want to even start the Visible Portrait of Light, because he sees how if he's not visiting someone who's sick at the hospital, he's maybe doing a funeral of not even a member, but a member's member's relative, you know. So wearing so many hats, and then of course he's married with children as well, you really have to juggle because there's so many things pulling on you. What is the greatest joy that you've gotten from being a leader, a spiritual leader in Memphis? You know?
So I know that I'm a young man, but I started preaching when I was 9. And
where was that?
Here in Memphis.
Where?
Of the church I was a part of is at the Greater New Salem Missionary Baptist Church, 1189 Mississippi Boulevard, in the heart of South Memphis. The church is still there, and so my mom.
Who is the pastor?
The current pastor of the church is Pastor R. Troy Wilkins.
And when you were there?
When I was there, my father in the ministry, Reverend Andrew Walker. Walker. He is my father in the ministry. He was the pastor, I believe, for 30 years or so. And he's still living, and we're praising God for he and his wife. So my mom and dad, they made Christ. They made that the center of everything, our lifestyle. And so we were always in church. I'm a church baby, morning, noon, and night, every day. My mom worked in the church. My dad, who was a deacon, a choir president, became a minister himself. Answered the call, and he was a preacher and a pastor, and so that was a part of what we did. And so growing up through school, church was like that was part of our life. So going to school was the thing that we looked for. We were really kind of focusing on. We knew that church was going to be there. We knew that we were going to have to do that. Mom, dad taking us and being there, we knew that was a part of whatever we did. So going to school was the focus. So it was like you got your burning, then you put your learning with the burn.
Oh wow, I like that. Well, you know, so, as you were saying, keep on.
Yeah, my highlights were always I answered the call at 9.
And how was that?
And so. My calling, as I continue to think about it and rehearse it, was one of like an out-of-body experience. I was there. I had always, again, known, seen things. I was always the sibling in my mom's house who was always trying to be something at the church. So, and mimic. When we go home, I would be doing the preaching and doing most of the things, mimicking.
You were very observant.
Yeah, always. And so I love the lingos. I love the phonetics, all those things.
You was born for this.
I don't know. But I love to see people shout. I mean, just those things. I took a joy. I laughed at those things. And even when they had the hardcore, like church meetings and different things, I was there listening. Trying to see who was going to say this,
wow.
do you know, all those
So
things.
you got all of that in.
Oh, my
From
goodness.
The shouting to the, no, I don't think we need to do it that way.
So I was a junior usher, a junior deacon. They allowed me to teach in the Sunday school area, be a junior superintendent, choir, and so I was in the choir stand one Sunday, and one of the former pastors who became a pastor of Greater New Salem, Pastor Carl Stephen Hicks, was preaching on this particular day. And I remember sitting on the second row, I think in the alto section of the choir stand. And he was preaching. It was right directly behind the pulpit area. And I remember he was preaching, and I remember him beating kind of on the pulpit, on the podium. And as he was beating on the podium, all I heard was preach, preach, preach. And I was like in a daze or a fog.
He wasn't saying it, but that's what you heard?
That's what I heard.
Gotcha.
Preach. No, the pastor wasn't saying that.
Right.
All I heard was boom, boom. And I could see him doing that, but I was not. So when I came to myself, I wasn't sitting on the second row. I was sitting on the first row of the choir stand, directly behind the pastor of the church. So I tapped the pastor, Reverend Walker. I said, Rev, I believe the Lord is calling me to preach.
You was 9.
No, I was 8. I was not 9. I started preaching when I was 9.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was 8. I don't think I had a birthday yet. And so my mom, who was the church clerk, at that time, the church clerk and the finance team, they went out in the middle of the service to count the money and all of that. You know.
So your mom was out
counting the money. She was in the office, right. So after Pastor Hicks finished preaching, the pastor of the church, my father in the ministry, Pastor Walker, got up and, they started doing their closing and invitation to discipleship. And he told them he wanted to share something with the church.
And you had to take it over. Okay, keep going.
And so, and it was a lot of people in the church. And so he started singing and he said, y'all, I'm so happy I'm overjoyed. Little William, come on down. And he told me to come down. He was down in front of the pulpit at the altar. And he's telling me what you told me. And I said, I believe the Lord called me to preach. And it was an explosion in there. So I think someone ran to get my mom. So she came out crying. But my mom, I was her first son. Well, she has 2 boys. I was her first son. And so because I announced my calling, she began to, it was a freedom thing for her. Because she had revealed that God had called her to preach. And she suppressed that.
Hallelujah.
Because women were not being accepted as preachers during that time. And she said she prayed to God for a son. She had 3 girls before me. And she always wanted a son. And so she said she prayed to God, before I was born, for a son. And told God that if you bless me with a son, I'll make sure I give him back to you. And so years later, I find the story of Samuel and the development of Samuel, how mom prayed for this child. And so, and she always talked about how the development of me, that I was going to always be unusual, and she knew that I was called before even being born. And so they challenged me to ask God for confirmation that that it was real. And
because you were so young.
I prayed God let something. My prayer was, God, let something that has never happened or something good that know that it's you. And so I prayed that prayer on Sunday night because Pastor Walker and my mom talked to me at my house.
So this all happened that day.
Yeah, right. So, but the confirmation didn't come.
Okay.
So I prayed, went to school. I was at Levi Elementary.
Mr. Levi?
Yeah, I did.
That's what my granddaughter is.
Oh, wow. We stayed on Levi Road.
Not far from them. They own Dillon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I prayed, and, as a little child, you pray and you don't really remember, you're not thinking about it. You're going about the hustle. Mm-hmm. So I went to school Monday, and I remembered the prayer. Nothing happened. I could recall.
Okay.
Tuesday, same thing. And so by Tuesday, I forgot, And I'm thinking, I always in church, they say, if it don't happen on the first time or the second time, it's going to happen on the third time. But Wednesday, gone, and nothing happened. It was that Thursday.
Okay.
I remember being called to the office. I thought I was in trouble. Being called to the office when I got to the lobby of Levi.
Okay.
The principals were there. My dad, who was the president of the PTO, was standing there.
He was involved.
He was, my dad was standing, my father was standing there. I was like, oh, you about to whoop me or something, So when I got to the middle of the hallway, they said, congratulations.
Okay.
You're the Levi Lion of the Year or something, right? So I wasn't thinking about my prayer.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. I had won the spelling bee from the whole school, and I had just won the city spelling bee.
Okay.
I was a speller, a great speller. So
I remember the word I missed in the third grade.
So,
go ahead.
I got the award, and it was when I was at home that night, and like I was like in a meditation moment or something. Just how you reflecting on.
Yeah.
And I started screaming, "Mama! Mama!" Oh! And I started telling her what my prayer was after they told me to ask God.
And this was just something out of you wasn't expecting.
No, didn't run for anything.
They just came.
So now that has been a practice every time before I speak, before I preach. Mm-hmm. Wait on the confirmation. Mm-hmm. It could be in a word, it could be in the song, it could be somebody saying something that was in the sermon that I prepared that they wouldn't have known anything about. Right. And that's how I'm confirming and knowing what I'm about to say. That's how you know you're in step with what God is orchestrating. Exactly.
Excellent. I enjoyed that.
Yes, ma'am.
Because there's a human side that often we as those sitting in the audience may not see.
Yeah.
We have ideas of what our pastors should be, and sometimes we forget that they are human.
Yes, Lord.
They are human walking this, So I appreciate you sharing that story because you were a as one of the other honorees said, board preacher. You started in this a long time ago. And you've gone on from high school and college. Mm-hmm. What about some of those experiences in your adult life, your young adult life?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there are some viewers who can benefit from some of the young adult life, because we all go through what I call the wilderness.
Yes.
And we're trying to find our way. Mm-hmm. We're separating ourselves from our parents, and now we're entering into this. I'm grown. Mm-hmm. I'm making my own mind up, and so we tend to do it the best way we can.
Mm-hmm. So I was blessed and protected. Mm-hmm. I was the first male in my family to graduate from high school.
You done said something.
First male in my family to go to college and finish college. Mm-hmm. And woo, I'm so thankful that God protected me and shielded me, not of my own anything. And you talk about being in the wilderness. Mm-hmm. I what some would say made a boo-boo because I was a preacher. By this time, I'm a teenage preacher. Yes. And people putting, I guess, perceptions and expectations on you, and you're trying to, hide those things. I had my first daughter was born when I was graduating from high school. And so that was kind of to me, a sore,
Yeah.
because I'm a preacher and all of that, and I'm having a baby out of wedlock.
Okay.
Um, but my mom, who was always prayerful and encouraging me, my mom set me down. I tried to hide it from her, the news about this young lady being pregnant, saying that the baby was mine,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
And I was like, no, that can't be, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm still a preacher.
Yeah.
And still in school, and I have all these scholarships now. I've excelled in high school and different things. And my mom reminded me of who I was.
Mm.
And it was at that moment that Romans 8:28 came alive to me. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God.
Mm.
And
Hallelujah.
to them who are the called according to God's purpose.
Yes.
And so, that kind of set the trajectory of that you're not God. There are going to be some things that happen.
Yes.
Of your own doing.
Yes.
Nobody's to blame, but that's part of your development.
Yes.
You talk about being human, not to justify that anything that we do or did that was wrong is right.
Yes.
But to know that you keep your hand in God's hand.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Well, we're going to be wrapping this up.
Okay.
But I did want you to share with before you share, I do want to extend an invitation to our viewers. Make sure that you get your tickets for this third annual Visible Portrait of Light art exhibit and unveiling. At this exhibit, we'll have 36 original oil portraits of our spiritual leaders. The current honoree, Pastor Smith, and 11 others will have their portrait unveiled. And the other 24 will be on exhibit. We'll also have artwork from local high school students here in the Memphis, Shelby County area who they have drawn or painted someone, an everyday citizen, who they feel are an inspiration. We want to shine a light on Memphis because often you hear negativity, but we know that there is good in our city and we want to make it shine.
Yes.
So with that, I'd like for you to share a vision or a nugget, if you will, of what you see for Memphis. How do you want to encourage Memphis in a special way?
So Memphis is a city that I love. I'm again born and raised here in Memphis, and I long and prayed to come back to Memphis. So I left Memphis in 1999 and did not return until 2017. I wanted to be full time here and be here. My family was here, and I've never had the opportunity to serve Memphis. And to see the development of Memphis now and what's going on in Memphis, there's a lot we could complain about and the negativity of the things that are happening. But I'm reminded of what Galatians 6:9 says, and it says, "Do not grow weary of your well-doing, for in due season we shall reap and we shall benefit, we shall get the harvest if we faint not." So don't give up. Our current mayor, whom we hold near and dear to us, Mayor Paul Young, has challenged the city leaders, the pastors, civic leaders, organizations to have something called Own Your Own Block or Own Your Block. And so I thought that was really a message from God. Everybody can't reach everybody individually, but if we're doing our pieces of the puzzle to be a positive, a visible portrait of light in our community, that we can all play on the same team of this positive role of owning our block. So that's been my mission. That's been my aim, to team up and partner with people in the community, legal and law enforcement, which I have experience in, with the prison ministries in which we've incorporated, going and visiting our senior citizens at those nursing homes, giving to those who are least, the lost, the left out, the unfortunate ones who are less fortunate than we are. We feed in these parks twice a month. We give to those, not just food, but spiritual things as well as clothing, various things that they need. And so that's been a part, but that it takes more than just us doing. We own our block by continuing to develop and create beautiful spaces for worship. We lend our church buildings to the children. We adopted our schools, not just one school, elementary, middle, high school, schools as well, and the colleges. Memphis has their own HBCU, Lemoyne College. Although I'm a Lanite, I'm a firm and great, rooted and true Lane man. But Memphis has their own HBCU, and we have to make sure that we're sending our children, sending our adults, sending our proceeds, sending our prayers to the development of those citizens who are going to be walking around as citizens and as leaders in our city. And a part of that we don't beat them over the head with the Bible. We walk it out. We live it out and allow the Bible to be a part of what we do, not just what we say. So that's kind of my encouragement to the people that we love, red, yellow, black, and white. That when we all get together, they don't say when all of the certain people get to God's heaven or get to when all God's children. And so when we learn that whether we're rich or poor, wherever, we all have to be together in doing this. And so you may not be able to do what I do, but there is something that you can do to serve. Can you serve well? Jesus came not to be served, but to serve and to die for a ransom, as a ransom for many. And I'm glad that he lived, died, and that he rose again. So that's my spiel. I take the challenge of owning your block.
I love that. I want to thank you for joining in today on this podcast. We're excited about what God is doing with this podcast and with you and your other honorees.
Yes.
We're just excited about the opportunity to shine a positive light on Memphis. There are, I believe, many great things happening, which is why my husband, the master artist Larry,
Oh, yes.
not only wants to paint original artwork, but we also want to make visible, with our medium, Be Visible magazine, we want to tell a story that outlive us.
Yes.
Your portraits, they get a chance to outlive us.
Mm-hmm.
All portraits are top of the line, and they last for hundreds and hundreds of years. So those who may never meet you may also see you in the work that you've done. So again, I want to thank you for your time today.
Y'all come on, be a part. Don't let us, don't meet us there, beat us there.
Beat us there.